We should not expect of our young to understand the world if we continue teaching history in the same way we did previously, or any other subject for that matter. Commentary and interpretation, and teaching our students the skill to be able to create their own interpretations through critical thinking is key to unraveling the hidden meanings underpinning those mysteries. In Taylor's words, only through adding a depth perspective of history can one bring out what is implicit but still at work in contemporary life. Good teachers can do that. Many good teachers are doing that. Number 5. I believe that teachers can facilitate a more authentic understanding of life as it is lived in their communities by connecting the academic disciplines. Multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary research and teaching is of paramount importance in reducing reductionist and conflicting views of the world. Many of the problems we face today in the world are due to the lack of understanding of the other, of the inability to comprehend the other's worldview, of being incapable of putting oneself in the shoes of the other. In 1978, the great educator Maxine Greene published Landscapes of Learning, one of the many highly valuable books by her. Greene is a philosopher of education whose orientation is existential and phenomenological. I have found her books to be highly insightful and inspiring. I'm sure many generations of students and teachers have. In one of her essays, she adduces the character of Meursault in Albert Camus' The Stranger to demonstrate the terrible alienation Americans were experiencing in the new freedom during those decades that you're all aware of that followed Watergate, Vietnam, and after the birth of the hippie movement. She describes it. She says, "It seems to me that the new freedom we are witnessing is linked to a terrible alienation, what used to be called anomie. I think that many, many people are moving through their lives as strangers, in the sense that Meursault was a stranger. They are not reflecting, they are not choosing, they are not judging. In some sense, they have nothing to say." End of quote. While not attempting to moralize or pass judgment, Greene draws a good diagnosis of what is going on. She describes the divorce rate, the change in sex roles, the alterations in family life, the proliferation of violent movies, and the need for them as undertakings of people seeking immediate thrills, having to do with the satisfaction of immediate needs, the need to feel alive rather than numb. She says, and I quote, "Few undertakings rest upon actual face-to-face communication among distinctive individuals trying to interpret their intersubjective lives. Frequently, they are responses to discouragement within the social world as it exists." End of quote. Even in individuals' attempts at self-mastery through exercise, the long-distance runner or the practitioner of Zen, Greene sees that, again, without attempting to condemn or moralize, as a choice of the private passions as alternatives to membership, as alternatives to existence in community. End of quote. Then she takes us to what she describes as the moral life. And I love that passage. The moral life is not necessarily the self-denying life, nor the virtuous life, doing what others expect of one, or doing what others insist one should do, or to do. It can best be characterized as the life of reflectiveness and care, the life of the kind of wide awakeness associated with full attention to life and its requirements. I have an active attention in mind to life in its multiple phases, not the kind of passive attention in which one sits and stares. In active attention, there's always an effort to carry out a plan in a space where there are others, where responsibility means something other than transcending one's own speed or one's own everyday. A person is not simply located in space somewhere. He or she is gearing into a shared world that places tasks before each one who plays a deliberate part. It is only in the domain of human expectations and responses that individuals find themselves moved to make a recognizable mark, to make a difference that others see. And so they trace out certain dimensions of the common space that are relevant in their concerns. That is a very elegant and graceful description of what teachers do, I think. What everyone in this hall is doing in their lives. She adds, "It seems eminently clear that the freedom of wide awakeness has to be expressed in intentional actions of some kind. the one who drifts, the one who believes that nothing matters outside his or her own self-preservation, can hardly be considered to be free. It is of course not sufficient to be formally free, to know one is entitled not to be tampered with or to be protected by law. The possibility of freedom has always to be acted upon. It is grounded in our being what we are and not mere imitators of each other. And so it has to be continually achieved. This cannot happen in a vacuum. Situations must exist or be created that will permit the release of individual capacities, that will permit persons to identify themselves. To identify the self is in a sense to understand one's preferences. To understand them is to be able to reflect upon them in the light of some standard, some set of values, some norm. The individual who doesn't choose, who simply drifts, cannot, from this additional vantage point, be considered free.
Well, yeah.
The one who basks in the sun with little sense of sharing the world with others is only barely aware of what he or she prefers. End of quote. Who is Green describing honestly but teachers? Do you not recognize yourselves in this description? This is what teachers do, day in, day out. We are the ones permitting these individual capacities to be released, permitting these individuals to identify themselves. This is all at the heart of what educators do. We teach who we are, as Parker Palmer says. In an essay that began as a public lecture at the Doris Sloan Memorial Educational Symposium at the University of Michigan Museum of Fine Art, Ann Arbor, in 1994, Michael Branson borrows a statement written on the back cover of a book of Chekhov's stories, which said that, and I quote, "In his stories, Chekhov held life like a fluttering bird in the cup of his hand." Branson suggests we substitute art for life and language for the hand, to give one a sense of how precious the relationship between art and language can be for him. I suggest in this forum that we substitute life for the lives of students and the hospitable space of the classroom for the hand. If the hand does not make the bird feel welcome, it will fly away. If the hand squeezes the bird too tightly, it will smother. I hear Socrates saying, "I cannot believe that you actually presented solutions to the problem."